If you're running a small enterprise or any size of business, it's really important that you consider setting aims and objectives. These will provide you with a focus and it will allow you to measure your success over the time. It's a key part of business planning. Aims and objectives work together. Aims are your top level targets or goals. It's the overall goal of what you wish to achieve for your business or enterprise. The objectives, they're smaller targets that feed into that main aim. They're like stepping stones. They contribute to meeting your main business aim. Now, aims and objectives will be different for each business and are going to change over time. This is where the enterprise skill becomes really important. As an entrepreneur, you want to be looking at the world around you, what your rivals are doing, what the customer needs are, what the economic environment is, and setting aims and objectives accordingly so that your business can thrive in that. So aims and objectives, they're something that need revisiting every now and then. They're something that are going to need reviewing and adjusting to see whether you've met previous targets and to what you need to do as the next step to be successful. A great way to make sure targets are set correctly is using something called SMART. It stands for a series of elements that you should try to include into your aims and objectives when you're writing them. The first one of these is making your targets specific. That is being really clear about what it is that you want to achieve. What area are you working in? What are the numbers involved? Don't just say something like, I want more visitors. Set numbers on it. And this leads into the second one, which is make your targets measurable. Set yourself a target number, whether that's in terms of profit, revenue, number of customers, something that you can look back on later to measure your success and say, have I achieved that or not? And it's really clear. When you're doing that, you need to think about whether your targets are achievable and realistic. These two kind of work together. And so we don't want to say, a new startup business, we're going to make £1 million profit in the first year. It's simply not achievable. We need to have steps along the way to allow us to get that. An initial, something more achievable for a small business might to say, well, I want to break even by the end of the first year. I want my revenues to be covering my costs. You may see the A and the R also with alternative definitions or suggestions. One of those could be agreed. That makes sure get everyone involved in the business. If you're an employer and not just a sole trader, get everyone involved to agree to what the target is. It's going to make it much more effective to get everyone pulling in the same direction and knowing what they're aiming for. The final part of SMART is making your objectives timed or time-bound or time-based. All of those things, they just mean set yourself a time limit by when you want to achieve this target. Don't leave it open-ended. Say, I want to be doing this within 6 months, within a year, within 2 years. If you don't put that time limit on there, then your targets can just drift and it doesn't allow you to hold yourself accountable for how your business is doing and whether you're meeting the aims and objectives being set. We've spoken in the past about the rewards of business, and these often form the basis of the aims and objectives that we're setting. And as we said before, these break down into financial and non-financial, and we can do the same thing with our objectives. We can set financial targets. It could be to survive for a year. It could be to have a certain level of sales revenue within the first few months. It could be to make profit. And as your business grows, you'll probably be looking more at things like the growth of the business. How are we measuring market share? Something we'll look at in a later video. How are you doing compared to your competitors or your rivals? If you're a limited company and there's shares being traded of the ownership of your business, you might want to set a target of, well, what are those shares being traded at? What is the overall value of your business? We can also set ourselves non-financial objectives. These are really common in small businesses where people are starting them and running them because they want to get satisfaction, because they want independence. Things like this, they're a little bit harder to measure, but it still can be done. We could measure owner satisfaction as, are we happier than when we worked for somebody else? Customer satisfaction, we can do surveys and say, are the customers happy? Are they returning? Have we got repeat customers? Something really important for businesses. We can also look at the level of challenge. Objectives are going to let us stretch out of our comfort zone, challenge ourselves, see if we can improve as a person as well as an entrepreneur. We could look at social aims. Are we doing something good for the community? Are we improving the environment? Are we making people around us happier? And also something a little bit more measurable is awards, recognition, fame. Are we getting that recognition, that acknowledgement from other people? Maybe not in financial terms, in terms of money, but being recognised as being good at what we do as an entrepreneur. So there you go, folks. Key part of business planning: set yourself aims and objectives, revisit them over time, and make sure that you are checking whether you are meeting the goals that you are setting for yourself. If you are, brilliant. Let's adapt them. Let's move on to something more ambitious. If you're not, look back at the business plan, at what you're doing in the business, and say, what can I do better to actually help me meet those aims and objectives that I was setting?